Okay.
Well, it's a beautiful day here in Dallas, so it's sunny and way better than my parents up north in Wisconsin getting
Ooh, are they getting
feet of
snow?
snow.
Oh my gosh.
When I moved to Dallas, I threw my shovel away and I
Yeah.
haven't looked back since.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy. So right now I am actually based out of Jersey City, so it's just cold. Um, and it's been cold for the past couple of days, but we haven't had like a big snowstorm. We had like one recently, but I mean it must be so nice, Adam, that you're not experiencing any snow. We are live, but we're just going to give our attendees a few minutes to just jump on board. But everybody who's joining us now, we haven't started yet. We're talking about the snow and the weather. Adam is based out of Dallas, and he just said that he just threw out his shovel when he moved. So that must be really nice. um, it is cold here on the East Coast. I'm based out of Jersey City, so we have a little bit of a cold front here for like the past couple of days. So that's where we're at. So I'm going to kick things off. I know it's 12:30 right on the dot, but let's give it another minute or so. Um, just so that we can all be in the room and everybody is joining us. Adam, we are encouraging our folks to ask you some questions so that they have an expert right in front of their screens, and you can help them out during the process. So Julia said it's still cold here in Dallas as well too. So maybe you should just keep your shovel, Adam. I don't know.
Well, it did snow last week,
Yeah.
and it comes down, but it doesn't stay on the ground. So, like to me,
Oh,
that's like
okay.
not that's okay. Like
Snow,
I'm okay
right.
with that.
As
Like
long as it doesn't stick and like you have to like shovel everything and like shovel your driveway and like so like here we have to do like alternate side parking, and parking is like a big thing. So anyways,
yeah, it,
let's get
it
the
sure
show
beats
on the road. Yeah.
it sure beats negative 14 degrees up north in Wisconsin over Christmas. So I
Oh my
tell you
gosh.
what.
That is nuts. That is too cold for me. Well, hello. It's me, Sandy, again. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. And where have you been? If this is not your first time, then you know what time it is. It is another In the Queue and Ask Me Anything segment. So today I have the great pleasure of having Adam Hunt, who's going to join me to discuss the modern workforce. So the paradigm has forever shifted for the modern workforce. So today we will dive deep into the new world of recruitment, onboarding, training, diversity, what candidates are looking for, and how you can prepare yourself and your organization for the future of the modern workforce. And as always, please feel free to drop some questions for Adam in the session chat or in the live Q&A box. He has a lot of great stories to share, a lot of great advice. Adam has been with CCW prior. He had a session, I think last year or 2 years ago, excuse me, and his session was so informative. So please feel free to drop in some questions. Before we go in though, I do want to ask the attendees a question. And Adam, if you have any questions for the audience that you'd like to know, please feel free to drop them as we speak. But for the attendees, for our audience members, has it been difficult in terms of recruitment? It can be simple yes, no question answers, so we can kind of just look through those. But to kick off, Adam, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself, your experiences, your backgrounds, current role, and responsibilities?
Yeah, so I think my background's kind of interesting. I'll start a little personal, go into work, and then end on a personal note. I alluded to, I grew up in Wisconsin, so I'm a Midwestern guy. Didn't know what I wanted to do while I was in college, and I actually landed a gig loading bags at the Milwaukee airport in the winter and fell in
Interesting.
love with
Yeah.
yeah, I fell in love with aviation. And
Mm-hmm.
just a few months later, I took that and I actually spent 2 years as a flight attendant. So, really good at giving those demos. Uh,
Exits
but I,
here.
right. I loved the industry. So when I completed my degree in communications, I
Mm-hmm.
hopped into a recruiting career. I worked for a regional airline owned by Delta up in Minneapolis, and then
Nice.
I moved down
Mm-hmm.
here to Dallas to work for Southwest Airlines. The pandemic, like a lot of things, is changing work.
Yeah.
So I also changed work. So I stepped into a few contract gigs, but most recently just started with with Tesla. Super excited to be
Ooh.
supporting their internship program. So,
Yeah.
get to engage with a lot of the universities. But my career has been in, from recruiting senior directors to
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
mechanics to warehouse clerks to the everybody in between. So I'm super excited to be here and share a little bit more about all of that.
Mm.
You mentioned I live here in Dallas. I have an awesome husband and 3 pets, 2 dogs
Are
and
we gonna
one
see your
cat.
dogs today?
Yeah, maybe they might make a cameo. So,
Okay.
I mean, that is the new world of work, right? It is
Right.
at home. So,
Yeah, I know. I always, when I have conversations with like new speakers, and we're in this new virtual world, they're like, what do I have to wear? What do I have to do? Like, I have children, I have pets. I was like, bring them on. Like, who cares? Like, I want to see your pets. Like, I want to see what your cats are like, your dogs, your children. Like, it's awesome. Like, I think there's so many pros and benefits to working from home and virtually, but love seeing the pets. The pandemic has shifted the way organizations recruit and find the right candidates, as roles obviously are still very much in demand. So, what does this shift look like? What have you heard and experienced, and what are candidates looking for? And also, how can organizations support and listen to their needs?
absolutely. So, lots of great questions. And I think, as I'm on the phone with these individuals,
Mm-hmm.
certainly we hope you're recruiting, right? There's certainly a demand, but these candidates are watching the news. They see the pandemic. That's all that
Mm-hmm.
they're hearing, good, bad, ugly. And you are very much having people on all sides of all fences when you're engaging with them. But
Right.
the one thing that everybody wants to know is, how has your company handled the pandemic? And, how, they're often going to ask your recruiters or your employees how you feel that the company's handled the pandemic. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just super important to, one, have a plan and have it articulated, and then equip the people who are having these conversations with the candidates with the information, be that recruiters, hiring leaders. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's just nice to have that resource. And, if you have a landing page or you have a boilerplate or a notes or, key talking points, I think those are all avenues we can do to kind of arm our warriors out there, into how to, best handle that.
Mm. So we have a few folks in the chat who have answered our question in terms of recruitment onboarding. So Scott said recruitment has been easy, but onboarding has been noticeably more difficult. Mary Beth said she's the complete opposite of Scott. She said recruitment is more difficult, but they have excelled at onboarding and engagement. Training has been a struggle too. And she's in the health insurance industry. Julio said onboarding has been made obviously more difficult. And then Greg, our friend Greg, said onboarding dogs is very difficult. I agree. So we have a mix of answers from our attendees just in terms of recruitment, onboarding, and all of that. And I know that, there's no one right answer. Everybody's trying to learn in this new environment. So it's definitely hasn't been easy. But I love the fact, Adam, that you said if you're just equipping your warriors, your agents, with the right things to say and, with the right answers to questions, definitely helpful for you and your organization. So there is a lot of crossover happening here at the intersection of diversity and recruitment. So how do you virtually, very difficult, recruit diverse talent, and where can you find diverse candidates? I know it's easier said than done, but how do you find these diverse candidates, and why should organizations really focus on diversity?
Good question. So lots to unpack. So I guess I'll start with, I think, the most important one. So
Mm-hmm.
why would we want to hire diverse candidates? Well, I don't know any industry that doesn't have diverse customers or already
Agreed.
employs diverse
Mm-hmm.
candidates or supports a diverse industry or industries. So I think it makes so much sense to
I agree
hire the
with you.
people that you are supporting and
Mm-hmm.
trying to engage with business, right? So that goes to, can go into your philanthropy, with your organization, how you spend your
Mm-hmm.
money, how you use your platform. But I've seen companies that, kind of stood up for some of that social justice rising
Mm,
in
love
Minneapolis
that. Yeah.
and such. done very well with their customers who were, live in those communities that were
Hmm.
affected. So I think the other thing is the virtual. So virtual work for me, it opens up a whole new pool of candidates, right? So
Love.
virtual
Yep,
recruiting,
absolutely.
and that's another thing candidates are asking for. Candidates are asking for to be remote, right? They see more of it available. They maybe had a taste of it.
Hmm.
They want that now. So whether your company allows it to happen right now, moving forward or not, I think it's a strong consideration. Other companies are. You're going to not be competitive if you start to not allow that, I feel.
Hmm.
So that's a key piece, but it opens up a whole new talent pool. Now you're just not just geographically diverse, but think about all those awesome, talented folks who maybe have personal or family situations
Hmm.
that doesn't
Yep.
allow them to go into an office. Maybe I'm caring for an elderly grandparent. Maybe I have
Yep.
a special needs child and I need to be at home, but I'm a proficient worker. I am dedicated, and I can be an excellent worker when I'm not being that care person.
Right.
So I think that's super important. And I think just thinking differently about our talent and what their needs are,
Hmm.
I think the virtual world opens up all of that. And I'm not going to say it's easy, right? Because it's going to open up all those new challenges, right? And a lot of it is that
Yeah.
onboarding. A lot of it is the pieces that other divisions or
Hmm.
departments manage, right? There's a lot of people that go into bringing an employee on board, and now we have to do it remotely. And this people are starting jobs without meeting any of their teams. They need
Right.
that sense of connection. And the
Yes.
worst thing is not only am I not meeting any of my team, but now my laptop's delayed 3 days. I can't sign up
Yeah.
into any of my systems. All these are first impression things that we're struggling with. But I think as we work it out, it's going to be really important for the candidate experience. But with those diverse candidates, right? Sorry to keep, just
No,
going
that's
on and
okay.
on, but
I keep going.
I'm
I think our
unpacking the
attendees
box.
like this. Yeah. Unpack
I
it all, Adam. Unpack it all.
I also think that those challenges, right, and things that I
Yeah.
want you to think about are, a lot of it is financial, right? So maybe I live in rural Louisiana and have
Hmm.
really hard access to get internet, and the fast internet is really expensive, right? So how are you as an organization going to ensure that everybody has equal access and it's fair and equitable for
Yes.
everybody to
Yes.
have
Absolutely.
access? Um, and be that Wi-Fi. And what are your expectations with an employee using their cell phone? Are you expecting them to use your personal? Are you setting them up? So all these things are to consider, whether that be a reimbursement, pay for it, or
Hmm.
all those things are things to just kind of get generating through your head. But then it's also challenging because this is new for everybody. So candidates
Yes.
maybe have unrealistic expectations. I understand. I might not make the same as somebody living in the Bay Area doing the same job living
Hmm.
in, you know, rural Wisconsin.
Yes. Yep.
So these are challenges we're going to have face as we converse with people. These are challenges your recruiters or managers are going to face. How do you articulate? How do you get people to understand that whole new
Hmm.
environment that we're still trying to understand, right? So I think it's the beauty of it is we're all learning together and we're all kind of forced into it. So it's like we're all on this journey together. We're learning what working from home and welcoming you into my home and
Right.
me into yours and all that good stuff. And let's see here. Come here, puppy. So we're gonna have to get
Oh
more
my
okay with,
gosh. I'm okay with
cattails
this. I'm
and
okay with this.
dog noses, and dogs are going to bark when the squirrels are outside and stuff. So I
Oh
think it's
yeah.
like, don't take yourself too seriously.
Right.
I think it's, just take it for a grain of salt, but um that's my 2 cents.
Well, I was going to say, while we are having our session right now, I don't know if you can hear my upstairs neighbors, but they are pelotoning really hard right now and dropping weights. Like you would, I think they are maybe jump roping, maybe doing some weight situation, but the Peloton is on. And it's so funny because people are like, I can't really hear that, but I was like, are you sure? Because it's really loud for me, but then I'm also like, sorry, this is just the day to day. It is what it is. I do want to talk a little bit about the diversity section, and I want to touch upon some of the things that our attendees have said. So in terms of diversity and inclusion for recruitment for your employees, it's so important for an organization. But just in terms of products too, when we're moving forward, um, we need to build things. We need to build products very strategically. And if you build anything with a narrow audience in mind, with less representation, less diversity, it only scales to a subset of users and customers. But I feel like if you continue to build a diverse and inclusive team, and our world is becoming so much more diverse, more inclusive, but if that's the case, now you have a team that builds for everybody. And don't you want everyone to be your customer? Like, isn't that so awesome that we can all have everybody and all these different types of people from different backgrounds with different skill sets? I think that's so wonderful for an organization to really focus on. Um, and then we have Greg here saying remote work did open up their talent pool options. Another thing you touched upon was flexibility. I feel like that's a term that's been coming up a lot more during this week of the event. A lot of flexibility does really wonders for your employees. Like, you have things that you have to do personally because you're home now, and for an organization to really accept that and understand where you're coming from and the situation that you're in, it really does make a world's difference. Manu has also said it is so true. You can cast a much wider net now that people are not worried about the commute. Nathan earlier made a joke. Everyone had to make a long commute to our event. But how awesome is it that, yes, I miss our live events. I miss, seeing you, Adam. I miss seeing our attendees and like all the familiar and friendly faces, but it does mean less on the commute. I don't have to worry about jumping on a train to go into the office, or being on an airplane, so to say, to have this long, like 6-hour flight. So it's nice to see. I also have another a comment from Jennifer. She says, we're in New York and hired someone in Texas, and they're attempting to hire someone in South Carolina now. So I feel like kudos. Like, I feel like this world, this virtual modern workforce, yes, it has some disadvantages. It's a huge learning curve, but it has really opened up the talent pool. And we're just kind of opening our eyes to all the different people that we can really attract to our organization. So that's really awesome. I do want to move on to our next question. Now that we have talked a little bit about diversity, inclusion, recruitment, what does a virtual interview look like? What are some key things that employers should focus or emphasize on while conducting a virtual interview? And also, what does virtual remote work look like after you answer the first question? And how can employees start a new job in this remote environment, which you talked about earlier, because they're not seeing their teammates? But let's tackle the first question. What does a virtual interview look like?
Yeah, so this may be new to a lot of us. A lot of us may have had geodiverse teams before and have jumped on Zoom meetings or
Mhm.
whatnot. So the platform can vary. Zoom, Teams, whatnot. So I think it's very good, or a good best practice to be intentional about. Um, am I still there?
No, yep, you're back now.
Oh,
I
sorry.
love technology.
I
No,
think
you're
we need to be.
good.
I think we need to be very intentional about communicating very well with the candidates and letting them know who they're meeting with, what their expectations are,
Mhm.
because they may not know whether to wear that suit and tie or to be in a place, not a coffee shop or whatnot, because they may be new to this as well. So I think setting
Mhm.
expectations, I think being flexible with those expectations, like I said, you're in people's homes. So, not everybody has an extra bedroom where they can have an office. These are things you need to think about. Not
Mhm.
everybody has 3 monitors. Not everybody has the means to have the fastest internet
Yep.
or things like that. So I think we just need to be flexible. I think we need to, as always, focus on the foundational skills of a candidate and those core values. And, when we're hiring, all interviews are probably remote, whether we're hiring them probably in person or not. A lot of these
Mhm.
interviews will be remote. So just ensuring that we can trust them to do their job, because let me tell you, micromanaging is very hard remotely. So, um, so, hire the people to do the job that you want them to do. I think certainly ask them about any challenges they anticipate with working from home. Just be very transparent about what that work from home setup looks like, whether that's before or after the interview. Because like I said, these candidates have different backgrounds, different situations. They're going to have different questions. So
Yeah.
I think that's what a virtual interview looks like.
Greg actually asked the question, what are your best practices for hiring and onboarding this talent pool? And I know you just talked about being just mentioning all of these things now, but is there anything kind of sort of to add to Greg's question? I also, just for the attendees, I do have Adam, before we wrap up our session, to give us some words of advice and key takeaways to share with our attendees today. But I wanted to address Greg's question because I feel like that is a question that is on a lot of people's minds. What are your best practices for hiring and onboarding this talent pool? And then just to kind of like add to that, in addition to that, Manu asked how to introduce new hires to your culture while everyone is working remote. So kind of like tying those two things together, what does that look like?
And I think a big part of it is communication. So I think you understand what your process looks on the back end. I know a big thing is like IT, we want people to get their laptops and equipment. So understand what that timeline looks like and then back up the process so that you can have like a hard stop. Everybody needs to clear by this deadline. That gives us a week to get the computer, and then just let them know, the candidates know where you're at with the process. And I think there's a lot of avenues you can do with sharing your website or videos or links with the candidates to get them kind of in tune to what the culture is. Certainly set up a meet and greet with the entire team, like
love that.
Whoever they're going to be working closely with. A mentor is huge. Give them a mentor, be it somebody newer to the team who can help guide them. And then as you start getting questions, create a fact sheet, frequently asked questions for new hires. Whether you have an onboarding plan or like a training plan, that's a big part of onboarding, making sure they get up to speed. So, understand what the roadblocks are, ask the questions what the roadblocks are, so you can hopefully remove them for the future candidates. So, I think that's kind of the big like onboarding best practice, because all companies are different, but as long as you communicate, like, I'm okay waiting a day or two for my laptop or access, as long as you tell me I'm going to be waiting a day or two. Like, I don't want to.
And you're not just sitting there, right?
I don't want to be like, in this black hole. But I guess my words of wisdom would be, and I think a lot of us are doing it because we're forced to, but we cannot rest on our laurels.
No.
We can't do things the way we've always done them. We were forced to put thousands of people from an office environment to work or to socially distance. And we found out we can do that, and we found out it works, and we found out that people like it. So now people are going to expect it. So I think the future is now, and let's just embrace it and see how we can make work from home better, instead of just make people work from home.
I like that. We do have another question from Martha asking, are you expecting candidates to be more technical as they may be their own tech support regarding their equipment? And I understand where you're coming from, Martha, because tech challenges are real. We were in a session yesterday in the queue, closing out the session. I was with the speaker, Anne Marie, and this is a new event platform for us as well. So we are learning as we go. So please be patient with us. And the learning curve is huge, but we were trying to stream live and it just wasn't working. And I was panicking, making sure that everybody else was okay, the attendees are fine. But in situations like that, like when we do have IT problems, what do you expect candidates to do, so to say?
Well, I know for interviews, we always have a backup. We always let everybody know. We get phone numbers, and we always say, if we drop out for any reason, we'll just give you a call and we'll conduct it that way. Now, it's a little different with other things, but I think it's really important to have easy access to IT these days. All companies that I'm working for have like chat now. It's all like online. You can call the number still. But I think it's really about setting the expectations. There is some technology threshold with some of these jobs. And I think there is a little bit of sink or swim.
Definitely.
But I also think that, I think that's the way we're going. And I also think that candidates are becoming more tech savvy and familiar with their abilities. So I think
Yeah.
that's good.
That's awesome. I think I know this is so cliche, but the digital transformation, the acceleration of things, it's been wonderful. People know what Zoom is, they know what Microsoft Teams is, Skype, all of those, Slack, everything is kind of like out there in the open, and we're just forced to adapt so that we have this connection to one another. I think it's really cool and awesome that we're kind of everybody's forced to move in the same direction. I want to ask the attendees one last question. We have about 5 minutes left. Actually, I have a couple of questions for the attendees, but I'd love to know, what is your organization doing to prepare for the modern workforce? What have you guys done, or what are you guys doing to make sure that you guys are ready for the new workforce that's coming ahead, for your new hires? So want to just kind of throw that question out there. And then while I'm asking that question to our attendees, I want to know, Adam, in all of the experiences, this is kind of the last question for you directly from me. I know we touch upon best practices and things like that, but in all the years of your wisdom, all the experiences that you've had thus far in the industry, what any last words to share with our attendees today? Just keeping in mind that we're all new to this, but we do have some experience. But if there's anything that you can leave today, like one last final thought, what would that be? You can think upon this too. I know it's a lot.
Well, I think it's easy, and I think it's going to probably
Oh,
be with me
great.
forever. And I think it goes to just work overall is don't take it too seriously, right?
I like that.
Like, I mean, working from home, we're all in it together. Like, we're all challenging. Like, some of us are doing science, but most of us are not doing rocket science. So at Southwest, if we would get stressed out, or we
Yeah.
would like get, have a bad day, we would just remind ourselves that the planes are still flying, and we would walk outside, we'd
I
look
like
at the
that.
runway, and we'd watch one take off, and then we'd go back, and it would be all okay. So the planes are still flying is my last word.
I love that. That is awesome. That is a great word of advice. So if the attendees have any more questions, please feel free to reach out to Adam. He has a lot more great stories, and maybe his dog will make an appearance later in your discussion. I don't know. It's great. But please feel free to reach out. Thank you, Adam, so much for your time today, and thank you, attendees, for joining us. Again, any additional questions, please feel free to follow up with Adam. He is on LinkedIn, so go find him, go befriend him, ask him loads of questions. He has lots of words of advice and wisdom for you. So thank you again, everybody, and I will see you soon.